Hello, and welcome in. My name is Matt Murphy, and this is the Matt Murphy Radio Show. My sincerest apologies. Chris Hand was...
are we going to do this?
Chris, yeah, we're doing it right now.
I thought we were going to, but I couldn't tell.
It's my... I was in the midst of an in-depth conversation with Mr. Hand, and we couldn't get out of it, and I was having such a good time, and I realized it was time to, as opposed to singularly communicate, it's time to mass communicate.
High noon every day.
Yeah, every day. Show starts at, as they say, at noon. And it is 12:06 on Super... Oh, wait. No, it's 12:07 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN, at least according to my clock. I don't know what time it is where you are, but I hope you're doing well. Hope you're having a great day. Hope everything is dry wherever you might be, or at least on your person. I hope it may be wet where you might be in terms of the rainfall, because we need the rainfall. And it's coming over the next, 4-5 days. We're going to see... a good amount of rain from, what is this, Helene?
Helene.
Hey, Ken Weaver, what's going on, Ken Weaver?
Woo! Just in here telling stories.
I love it.
Yeah, telling stories and tracking Helene.
Helene is on her way. I finally saw a radar map where it seemed like there was actually a hurricane down there.
Yeah.
Because for the last several days, I'm looking for the hurricane because I know what they look like. They look like a big spinny thing with a hole in the middle.
Right.
And I couldn't see that. Now I kind of get it. I kind of see it. So we got a hurricane down there right now, Ken?
Got a hurricane down there right now. It is set to make landfall maybe late tomorrow afternoon on Florida's Pensacola coast. I guess that's considered the Gulf Coast of Florida.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And the Pensacola area especially is under the gun. Got lots of resources down there, including from Tennessee. Firefighters from Nashville, Franklin.
Good for us.
And then the Williamson County Emergency Management Agency left yesterday to go get in place in Florida in case there's any water rescues needed, maybe storm cleanup, that sort of thing.
How about that?
And Governor Ron DeSantis telling folks, hey, you need to be ready right now. 61 of 67 counties there in Florida are under a state of emergency.
Well, I mean, it's always a dangerous situation, even with a Category 1 storm, but they know what they're doing down there.
Yeah,
I mean, obviously.
It could go to a Cat 3.
Cat 3?
Yes.
Man. Oh, those warm...
Now that's serious.
Those warm Gulf waters.
Warm Gulf waters.
Kamala Harris should tell us all about climate change and how we need... If we just got a little government money down there, we could convince that hurricane to go another way or to lessen its severity. Yeah. I don't know. I'm just thinking outside the box. Well, you keep us up to date with what... I mean, so that means... What is it? Thursday and Friday, Saturday?
Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. Now, now, I don't think this is any part of the hurricane, what's going to be going on here. We're just going to have heavy rain.
I don't know. I saw the cone. Now, I never go to the Drudge Report anymore unless there's a weather event involving a hurricane, because he always has the cone of probability.
Yeah.
I love the cone of probability. And in the cone of probability, I thought it was like it's cutting through Georgia, and then it's going to turn a little west and cut right through the middle of the state of Tennessee. What do you got there, Bell?
Sammy owns a house in the path of the hurricane.
Whoa.
Wait, am I doing something wrong with my life? She owns a house at the coast?
And one up here.
And one up here?
Yes.
Way to go, Sammy.
Why in the world is Sammy hanging out with us?
Yeah, I'd be in my house in Florida.
Because clearly she's done some things very well and other things very
wrong
poorly
in her life. I mean, I guess. I don't know. Hold on. I need to look this up because, Ken, I trust you as the day is long. But I thought, look, Florida on alert. Yeah, see, Friday at I got Friday at 7 a.m. that this thing is a tropical storm, and it is northwest Georgia, right, kind of on the Georgia-Alabama line there, and then it kind of cuts into Middle Tennessee, and I would think it would dump some rain on us on Saturday.
Yep, so, comes right up here by Saturday.
Yeah, but what we're dealing with today has nothing to do with this.
Yeah, this is just regular old rain here. It's just regular old rain.
Just plain old rain.
Plain old rain.
Just still water rain.
National Weather Service, it is going to be heavy rain Thursday night and Friday.
Well, I like that.
And it's called 100% chance, and we need it.
Well, we do need it. That's the truth. Well, Mr. Weaver, you keep us up to date with anything we need to know. There's Ken Weaver, everybody. Hey, by the way, Ken, will it affect the Alabama-Georgia game at all? Are we aware of this?
I have not heard any reports of it affecting the Dogs and the Tide.
Okay, well, that's very important to me.
But now, you Auburn Tigers, if you guys want to, you can move that game up to Norman if you want.
It's, as a matter of fact.
I mean, otherwise, if you don't want to go to the game, I'm sure you can watch it on TLC or one of the Hallmark channels.
As Ken Weaver noted yesterday, in an abundance of caution, it has been announced that every game that Oklahoma is playing for the rest of the season will be in Norman.
It could be.
Out of an abundance of caution that we don't see any inclement weather in these other locations.
Yeah, and if the other teams don't want to do that, well, they risk forfeiture.
And there you go. That's a good way to look at it. I like that you're a 2-point favorite in Auburn, by the way. Did you see that?
Well, I think it keeps going down every day. I think we started out like a 5-point favorite, and now it's 2 points. The closer we get to it.
I see. The reason that I have never been a gambler when it comes to sporting is I understand the line, and I guess I can understand why it moves. I think it moves because of bets, right?
Yeah.
I
believe so. I'm not much of a gambler.
But right. So I think that means that the Auburn people are putting too much money. Wait, no, I think it's the Oklahoma people that are putting too much money on Oklahoma that would drive the line toward Auburn because they're trying to get somebody to bet Auburn. I think I'm right. I'm not really sure. And I've actually managed to confuse myself at 12:12 on this Wednesday edition of the Matt Murray Show on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. That's enough gambling talk. Let's talk about politics. Well, I guess I could call this gambling because the liberals are gambling on the idea that people are buying into this change of position by Kamala Harris on any number of issues. And we'll discuss that during the Libertarian Lunchtime Hour today on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. I have made a delicate decision to start the show, and I don't know how I feel about it yet. You know how I'm mentally insane when it comes to my headphones and the sound that comes out of my headphones?
Yes.
And
which is not unusual for people in radio to be like that.
And the slightest variance can throw me off.
Correct.
And during the breaks, I'm yelling and screaming about various things about, hey, we can't get this right. Why is it not the same? What do these weekend people do?
Through the window. And
I've made the decision to try to escape the Mike condom. If you noticed.
Is that one yours?
That is. Well, it's not mine. It's the one that was put in here. I'm the only one that uses it, though.
Oh, okay. I thought you were bringing your own.
No, I don't roll my own. I use the ones that are already in here, or at least I used that one because nobody else uses it. Han doesn't use it. Mandis doesn't use it.
You're all just spitting on the microphone.
Well, the taking off and the putting on and the taking off and the putting on, it's a little worse for wear. And so I made the decision. I was watching Mandis this morning on Nashville's Morning News, and he was looking, I say this about another man, fully confident in my masculinity. He's looking great this morning. His head wasn't shiny. He was looking good. Seemed like he felt good. I'm a little under the weather, but whatever.
Surprised he got good sleep last night.
Yeah. Well, I think Dan does his best shows when he's got 2 hours of sleep.
Well, that's normally what he gets.
By the way,
last night he got about a 1.
Did you see his jacket last night?
Yeah.
He was
nice.
looking great.
It really was.
He's making that morning show money.
You know the missus bought that for him.
Oh, let's be real clear. I met Dan. He was dating Amy. When he got married to Amy, everything was elevated.
Yeah.
His clothing game. He looks better. He sounds, all of it. Women make us better, right?
Yes.
Which is why
we put up with him.
I was going to say something else, but you knew, so you would. That's good. Anyway, so it's a delicate game I'm playing here, and this is internal conflict on the Matt Murphy Show that you don't need to know about. So it's Wednesday, September 25th. We've got 40 days to go until the election, 40 plus a few hours. It is episode 659 of our proceedings today, and it's Locks for Trump Day 107. Episode 659 can be found on a variety of platforms. Obviously, you can listen to us on your radio dial, 99.7. You can look us up wherever you stream news or podcast or music or information. You can stream Super Talk 99.7 WTN, and we invite you to do that by dialing us up at the same call letters and whatever streaming platform you use, off you go. And if we're not there, tell us about it and we'll get there. And then, of course, there's Super Talk TV. It is brought to you from noon until 3 by our good friends at U.S. Pest. You can see them there on the corner of your screen, I believe. U.S. Pest bringing you Super Talk TV, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch. Episode 659 is entitled
Matt Murphy, always looking for a government success. Can you find him one? It's actually a trick question. No, you can't find him one. Sorry.
Is that all in the title?
No, not all of it. It's just up to the can you find him one, because then it's a trick question.
It is a trick question because there aren't many government successes out there, although I could name you a couple of them. You want me to name you one?
Yeah, actually I would.
Seatbelt usage.
No.
Mm-hmm.
I disagree.
Why do you disagree?
Because if you're stupid enough to not wear your seatbelt, you deserve the consequences, and you don't need government forcing
It's not about your consequences. It's about the consequences that you put on other people. If you're dumb enough not to wear a seatbelt, it has been proven that the lack of a seatbelt can cause you to lose control of your automobile, whereas if you remain in the driver compartment, I don't give a crap about people not wearing the seatbelt and getting thrown out of the car. I give a crap about what happens to the car after they get thrown out of the car.
I've been wanting to tell you this for years, and I keep forgetting about it till just now. Did you ever do a mock Senate in high school?
We did the stock market, and I bought Playboy, and it tanked. I don't think so.
We did one,
but I know what you're talking about.
We did one in my history class, and two of my classmates proposed a bill to create and mandate rehab funding for prisoners on death row. To create and mandate rehabilitation funding for prisoners on death row. So in the middle of, when question time came, I said, so you're actually telling me that we have people that we're planning to execute, and we're going to spend funds rehabilitating people that we plan to execute.
Right.
And
it's like spending money buying the swabs and the antiseptic, so you swab their arm before you put the needle in them to kill them.
Right. It's like, well, do you care if they get an infection?
What's the point?
And up until I asked that question, everybody was on board with it. Everybody was talking about what a great idea it was. And my one question destroyed their entire bill.
Well, I like that.
And I've thought about that since you and I met, and I've been forgetting for 3 years now to tell you that
story. Good for you. That's good.
But is that not the most ridiculous thing in the world?
Yes. Well, that's childish. Or Democratic, whichever way you want. I mean, that sounds like a Democrat. Sounds like Democrats sound like children in a lot of ways. Now, a lot of people are freaking out on the membersnutrition.com super text line because they're saying a libertarian wants government-controlled mandatory seatbelt usage. No. The government, I agree that the government's function is to, in public spaces, ensure the health and safety of the general public in said public spaces. So what are speed limits, for example, are not designed to protect you from you. I don't give a crap about you. Honestly. If you want to be stupid and go 187 miles an hour and slam your automobile into a mountain, that's up to you. I'm concerned about the unsuspecting people that come around the corner and find you going 170 miles an hour. That's what it's for, right? So seatbelt usage, I do not agree with any passenger mandates on seatbelts. I do believe and have seen the statistical data that seatbelt usage minimizes the severity of accidents when people get in them. And as a result, I can understand why seatbelt usage would extend beyond the actual user of the seatbelt to others on the highways and byways of Tennessee and America. I hope that makes sense. And seatbelt usage was less than 20% in the early 1980s. It's now well over 80% in every state in the union, and it's over 90% in most states in the union. Brian wants to know how I feel about helmet laws. I don't have a problem with individual motorcycle riders not wearing helmets, but I want a rider on their insurance policies that mandates that no government money should go to their health insurance or to their health if they find themselves in an accident and their brains are spread all over the highway. I just don't want to have to pay for people that are dumb enough not to wear a helmet on the highway. And I'm a motorcycle rider. And I've never understood why anybody would want to travel down the highway at 80 miles an hour without a helmet on anyway. But if you want that, that's your business. So I believe in freedom so long as your freedoms do not encroach on the health and safety of others. That's where I'm at on that. It is 12:21 on Super Talk. Oh, I got a lot of questions about this, which is a lot of fun. 6437 says, so no guns in public using that logic. No, I don't know. What do you mean, no guns in public using that logic? Guns don't kill people. People kill people. What are you talking about? The logic behind seatbelts is simple. That if a driver of an automobile has a seatbelt on, statistically, if they find themselves in an accident, they will have a better ability to control their vehicle, and they will have a better ability to minimize the severity of the accident. That's it. So it's all about not you, it's about the people that you perhaps have hit or the potential people that you could hit. Have you no seatbelt on? Does that make sense to everyone? It's all about public safety. John writes in, and I love this. I love the conservatives that try to nitpick the libertarian on these issues. Banning illicit drug use is best for public safety as well. No, we're talking about putting other individuals in direct harm's way in the event of an accident. I'm putting no one in direct harm's way if I'm going to shoot up heroin at my house, except for myself. Now, you could maintain the argument, and many conservatives do, that by extension, you are causing some sort of fracture within the community at large because your drug use is going to impact your family and potentially impact your extended family and by extension the community. I understand all of those arguments, but everybody has to draw the line somewhere. I'm not saying that it's perfect, and everybody has to draw the line somewhere as to where they want government to encroach on their lives. Otherwise, we got anarchy. And I know some people want that too, which is fine. Like Bell. I mean, there's Mr. Anarchist in there. Bell's so much of an anarchist, he refuses to be on camera. I'm thinking about getting him one of those Antifa masks. By the way,
you give me one of those and I'll go on camera.
There was a guy last night at the party that looked kind of like you. I took some pictures of him in the photo booth.
Oh,
I need to send you those.
You send me those, yeah.
I do. If we can figure out a way to blur your face out, we need to post some of those because they're pretty funny. We were at an
Sammy
event.
Can do it.
We were at an event last night, and I convinced Belle to go into the photo booth with me, and it took 3 photos. And the 3 photos, there's one of me kind of looking like I don't want to be there. There's the second one where Belle flips everybody the bird, and then there's my face changes and I make a frowny face. It's very funny. It's 24 after the hour, 615-737-9986. Would love to hear from you. 3425 says, you're no libertarian. Thanks.
Must be a libertarian.
You must be a libertarian because it only takes a libertarian to tell other people what a libertarian is. Thank you, 3425. I appreciate it. I'm not a libertarian. My name's Matt Murphy. Show starts at noon. Hey, friends, it's Matt Murphy for Men of Valor. What a wonderful organization. So proud to be associated with them. And they have an event coming to town, and tickets are rolling fast. This event is happening October 1st, and it involves their fall gala at Rocketown with Tim Tebow, the one and only Tim Tebow, obviously Christian man and lives his faith every single day of his life. And it's a wonderful thing to have him in our state offering his ministry and his testimony. Men of Valor believes that if you offer that ministry within the prison system, that you help turn the lives of men around. And in doing so, you make them better and more productive members of society. It is so important because 90% of the men in prison are going to get out. 90% of the men in prison are going to get out. I repeat that because it's so important to understand what type of man do you want exiting that prison? Someone that's going to be a recidivist, someone that's going to commit violent crime or crime again, or someone that has committed themselves to the ways of God and wants to be a productive member of society. That's what I believe in. Go to movministry.com for more information about the event coming to Nashville on October 1st, coming to Knoxville on October 2nd. movministry.com for Men of Valor. Hello, friends. My name is Matt Murphy, and I love the Glock store. I feel like I'm at a meeting, right? Hi, my name is Matt, and I love the Glock store. Hi, my name is Matt, and I love the Glock store. Hi, my name is Matt, and I love the parties at the Glock store. So the Glock store, if you've been, you know, right? You know that it's the best. They have a big, huge retail space where they're selling Glocks galore. They're selling other handguns and long guns as well. They sell the accessories in their retail space. They'll sell clothing items, too. And then you walk by the retail side of things, you turn the corner, and you are in the most beautiful area. It's their Shoot 270 area where they have shooting rooms, never lane, shooting rooms with private instructors to help you better yourself when it comes to use of your Second Amendment rights. Now, on the party front, I love this because the party at the Glock store is like none other. I want you to go to Glockstore.com to find out more information about all of this. Glockstore.com to find out more about shooting and training sessions. You can go to shoot270.com. But the party at the Glock store, they have a VIP area. They'll have a dedicated instructor for your party, and you can do all of that at the Glock store. I'm telling you, for anniversaries, for retirement parties, for celebrations of any sort. Let's get to the Glock store for your next party. How about that? Glockstore.com for any and all information. It's Glockstore.com, so Matt Murphy sent you.
All right, still got that stalled tractor trailer blocking the right lane as you're heading into downtown Nashville from the north. That's 65 southbound right there before 24. And we've got a report claiming something the District Attorney General of Nashville did that state law says you can't, coming up at 12:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
I can't wait. I can't wait for it to come up. And it's coming in mere seconds on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. And then after that, I guess that I will defend. Look, I have no interest in defending what I am. I'm a libertarian with a small L. I'm not a conservative. I love having these conversations, though. I don't know that we've ever done it on the show during the Libertarian lunchtime hour, where I get challenged for my libertarian beliefs because I don't have a problem with demanding through the force of government that individuals who are operating a motor vehicle do so safely by wearing a safety belt. Similarly, and it has nothing to do with your safety. It has to do with my safety in my car. The same reason that I don't have a problem with drunk driving laws. If you don't have a problem with seatbelts, you probably don't have a problem with drunk driving laws. Because after all, they're just endangering themselves, right? Until they hit somebody and they kill a family. What about that family? They don't know that you're drunk, right? They don't know that you don't have operation of the vehicle. I mean, we believe in the rule of law as it pertains to the health and safety of others in those public spaces, right? And I understand all of the arguments because I've been around the block a time or two, but I'm happy to have them. Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Let's do the news right now. We'll get into some of your telephone calls momentarily. 615-737-9986.
I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. We've got the full forecast coming up in 5 minutes. And right now in Nashville, a report claims District Attorney General Glenn Funk's office secretly recorded criminal defense attorneys, staff members, and visitors without their knowledge. Recording people's conversations without their knowledge is against state law. But Funk claims the signs posted about video surveillance was enough because, he says, defense attorneys had no expectation of privacy. Funk isn't going to face prosecution, according to State Attorney General Jonathan Skrmetti, who says he doesn't think there is sufficient evidence that would bring a conviction. Funk's office put out a statement saying they never violated the law and this matter is at an end, and they will continue the mission to support victims, hold offenders accountable, and keep Nashville safe. Channel 4 interviewed a woman in the Buena Vista neighborhood who confronted some burglars through her Ring camera as they were breaking into her vehicle.
I'm scared. I'm very scared because, like I said, nothing like this has ever happened. And these guys are walking up and down the street and they're seeing these high-maintenance cars in these driveways where they've never seen them before. And it's drawing the criminals out. So it's kind of scary.
Yeah, she says her camera showed 3 men walk up to her front door and knock. And when she didn't answer, they started rifling through her vehicle. Metro Police say they're patrolling the area a little more. Neighbors say they're going to be more vigilant going forward. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis telling his state to prepare now to be someplace safe ahead of Hurricane Helene.
You don't have to get in your car and drive 350 miles away. You can evacuate safely to higher ground. There's shelters, there's hotels, friends' houses, family.
61 out of Florida's 67 counties are under states of emergency. North Carolina also under a state of emergency. That is the latest news. Weather is next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Hey, friends, it's Matt Murphy. Efficient Heating and Cooling and Jeff Eddy want to see you. And it's not because they want something bad to happen to your AC unit if you're still using your AC. And for most of us, we're still popping that thing on because it's still getting a little warm in the afternoons. But there will come a time when the heating unit will need to be used. And if you've not gotten the maintenance done on your heater, then the possibility exists you're going to smell that smell, right? You know what I'm talking about? That nasty smell like something's burning. Well, that is something burning off the coils of the heater. It's time to get it cleaned up and maintenanced and make sure that everything's running as it should so it doesn't go kaput on you in the cold fall and winter months of Middle Tennessee. Jeff Eddy and Efficient Heating and Cooling can do all of those things. They're going to keep invoices low. They never charge you over $125 for a maintenance call, no matter how many units you might have at your property, at your residence. Plus, they're going to do it the right way. Jeff Eddy will never recommend that you replace your unit unless it's time. He'll explain all of these things for you in depth to make sure you understand what you're doing and what you're paying for. Efficient Heating and Cooling. And when it's time, they're an elite pro partner with Rheem. They'd love to talk to you about that too if the time has come for a new unit. EfficientHVAC.net for more information. EfficientHVAC.net or 615-784-4424, 784-4424 for Efficient. It is the Matt Murphy Radio Show. The Small L Libertarian Lunch is in progress. Super Talk 99.7 WT. And you see what I did there, Bell? You see on Super Talk TV what I did? I put the mic condom back on.
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah, I noticed that.
Yeah. I couldn't help myself because I was getting freaked out.
Just bugging you?
Well, I kept thinking about all of the Dan Mandis spittle that was on the microphone and started freaking out.
Yeah, it's like when you see Chris sitting in front of the mic,
Man,
Chris is clean cut.
Oh, it looks great.
You know, good hygiene. You know, the guy ain't got no
Let me tell you something. If there's
on him.
anybody at this radio station that I wouldn't mind spitting on me, it's Chris Hand.
I wouldn't necessarily disagree with that. I mean, you cannot look at Chris and go, oh, I might get something. Hey, that guy's got nothing.
No, that's right. That's right.
Dan, on the other hand,
little suspicious. So Bell and I were having a debate off air, and we had to stop ourselves because it's a much better debate to have on air, right? Look, I'm not saying that I'm right in every respect, or at least right for you. I believe that, I have my lines in the sand. I'm not suggesting that everyone can't think a little bit differently about these things. But if you walk it back, we all have some expectation of government authority over aspects of our lives that affect other people. I'm getting a lot of pushback. I just mentioned that I don't have a problem with seatbelt laws for the driver. Passengers, y'all are on your own because your existence does not impact the health and safety directly of other people on the roads. Just like I don't think that there should be laws against passengers drinking in cars. You're a passenger. You're not affecting the operation of that motor vehicle in any way.
I have an example, and I've had this example since the 80s. When Vince Neil got into the car accident that killed 3 other people. No, I'm sorry, killed 1 person and severely injured 2 other people.
Right.
The passenger, Razzle from the band Hanoi Rocks, died. Razzle was just as drunk as Vince was when he got in that car. So is it not Razzle's responsibility for getting in the car with somebody he knew to be intoxicated? Is that not a fair assumption?
I love this ask. So if I get into a car with you,
knowing that you're...
And I know that you're drunk.
Yeah.
And then we get into an accident and let's say you injure me. Should I have some sort of opportunity to sue you for your actions getting behind the wheel? I would say no.
I would agree with that.
I would say no.
I think Vince is responsible for the 2 other people he hurt, but I don't see him as responsible for Razzle's death because Razzle knew what was happening when he got in the Testarossa.
So I would ask for those of you that are clapping back at me, you're low libertarian, you believe in seatbelt laws. Well, where is your line? Because I'm sure you have one. I would hope that you have one. Do you believe, for example, that it should be the government's authority to license drivers to ensure that they understand the rules of the road? And if you do, I would say, how dare you encroach on my freedoms? It's my business. If I don't know how to drive a car, that's up to me, right? That sounds silly, doesn't it? Do you believe in drunk driving laws at all for the driver of a vehicle? So we all have our place where we believe that it's time for the government to intervene and act for the greater good of society that demands that those actions take place. In other words, we collectively get together as a community or as a state or as a country and make determinations about how we want certain aspects of civilized society to be. And that's what a government is. That's what government is. Otherwise, you get anarchy. So I don't believe that I'm violating any tenets of libertarianism by telling you that when your actions could directly impact the health or safety of other people unbeknownst to them, then I believe that government intervention can be appropriate in those instances. And I don't have a problem with seatbelt laws for people and drivers. And motorcycle helmets are a different deal. And the only restriction that I would put there is if you choose to not wear a motorcycle helmet, then I do not believe that there should be any chance that any of my government taxpayer money go to assist you in any sort of rehabilitation efforts or any medical issues that come up as a result of you getting your brain smushed like a watermelon on the pavement.
And if you want to not wear a helmet, then that I have no issue with the insurance company saying, okay, your rate is going to be this much higher then. And if that's the case, I mean, I don't think my tax money should be going to other people's health issues anyway. That should be your money or your insurance. And if you injure yourself, you've made an agreement with your insurance company that I'm going to pay higher rates so I don't have to wear a helmet. And that should be all on you anyway.
3449 says, by that logic, you can mandate vaccines, dude. How do you not get this? It was not a vaccine. That was never a vaccine. What came out of COVID-19 was not a vaccine. It was medicine. And you should not be able to mandate medicine for individuals. And there was zero evidence from anyone that looked that suggested that taking the vaccine, what they call the vaccine, would in any way benefit other people.
They literally admitted that it did not stop.
That it was lies.
It didn't prevent infection, and it didn't stop transmission.
So, I mean, now if you tell me that there is a pandemic, well, I guess I could come up with a scenario. I don't know that I want to involve in it now, but I could come up with a scenario where there's a pandemic and you've got to take this pill, otherwise you're going to affect everybody out across the planet. Maybe. I mean, I was always a big believer in herd immunity, 3449. In the sense that you had to, the natural science dictated that you had to reach a level of herd immunity. And by its very nature, you were putting those extremes at risk in doing so. So you protect the extremes, the elderly, the infirm, the young people, those with compromised positions. You protect those by isolating those individual cases. But you do that individually. You do not en masse demand that people take a vaccine that, by the way, works directly against the concept of herd immunity, which is the natural order of things when it comes to that sort of thing. So Thomas is next up in Franklin. Hey, Thomas, what's going on?
Hey, buddy, love your show.
Well, thank you, man. I appreciate it.
No, I ain't got nothing against the seatbelt law. I've got an exception, though.
What's that?
I've had both of my hips replaced, and when I wear it, I cannot hardly stand it being around my hip.
Wait, so you have a medical issue?
Yes, I've had both hips completely replaced.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Several miles, and I'm hurting so bad I can't stand it. So I don't wear one.
Well, I don't blame you. I probably would be in the same place.
Okay. Well, can I ask you one other question?
Sure.
In Florida, the assassination attempt, how come the snipers missed the guy when they shot at him?
That's a good question.
Ain't nobody said nothing about that.
I think they shot, and that's a pretty good question, Mr. Thomas, and I appreciate it. I think that the reports that I heard was that the Secret Service agents that were on Hole 6 at Trump International, they did not actually see the guy. They did not see Routh. They saw the barrel of the gun because this guy was stupid enough to expose his position prior to being ready to shoot. Thank God. Thank God he was. But they saw the barrel of a gun sticking out of the hedgerow, and they fired into the hedgerow at the point that they saw the barrel of the gun. So I could probably excuse maybe missing them or missing him as a result of not actually seeing the individuals that was holding the gun because of the hedge line. Now, that's just the official report that we're getting. I don't know, believe that at your own peril, right? Mr. Jimmy's in Shelbyville. It's my understanding that Mr. Jimmy's upset at me because I was unable to take his call yesterday. Mr. Jimmy, I would like to apologize to you.
Well, that's all right.
But if you have anybody to yell at me.
Okay, well.
All right, that's fair.
What I wanted to talk about was I heard on there yesterday that you were going to do, in a couple of weeks, maybe cornrows on your head.
That's what I'm getting told, is that there will be someone in studio to put cornrows on my hair as a result of how long it's gotten.
Well, you ought to do the 50s thing, the fawns, dragon roads and ducktails.
Man, I remember those hairdos where they did the what they call it, the duck
ducktails.
That's right. Yeah, that's right.
Dragon roads in the front.
Yes, sir. They called it the ducktail because it looked like a duck's butt, right, Mr. Jimmy?
Yeah. You comb that long hair toward the middle of the back, and then you'd take the comb and go down and kind of make a part, and then it would kind of make a little tail on the end of your neck there.
What kind of did you ever do those ducktails, Mr. Jimmy?
Oh, yeah.
What kind of hair jelly did you put in your hair to make those things work out?
Oh, I don't remember.
Like
probably Vaseline.
I know they had all kind of different types of hair product.
Yep.
Brill cream and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I think what I used was Vaseline because it had a good smell to it. To me, it kind of smelled like baby oil.
Yes, sir. I hear you.
Vaseline.
As for me, I'm a Dapper Dan man.
Oh, Dapper Dan.
Yes, sir. I made you laugh, Mr. Jimmy. You're not mad at me anymore.
Yeah, no.
Okay.
No.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, I'll let you know. I'll let you know about the cornrows. I might try to suggest they do a ducktail instead.
Yeah. Okay. And
right.
do the dragon rolls in the front.
Oh yeah, on the I know what you're talking about. That's kind of an Elvis deal, right? Where they do the flip on the top.
Yeah, on my graduation picture, 1957, I had dragon rolls, and everybody had them.
I would love to see that graduation picture, Mr. Jimmy, if you can get it to me.
I think I already sent y'all a bunch of pictures.
Oh, well, get them back over here. I don't know that I saw them.
Well, I said for Matt, so I'll send my graduation picture and my 1957 prom picture.
Bring it on, Mr. Jimmy. I would love it. As a matter of fact, do you got email?
Well, I'm not.
You're not active on the email?
No.
Okay. Well, figure out a way to send it out. I would love to see that, Mr. Jimmy. That would be something else. You that back in your Memphis days?
I can send it on the telephone number.
Okay. Well, I'll tell you what. You send it the number you call in on. You can just text me over those pictures, and I can see them right here on the on my computer screen. Okay.
Oh yeah.
All right.
Back to the seatbelts. I was an old Harley man way back in the early 50s. I was wearing a helmet before the helmet laws even went through.
Well, I mean, I never, when I grew up and, I started driving, gosh, and Miss Jimmy, thank you. Send me those pictures. I appreciate your call, and I appreciate, if we get them, Sally, don't worry. Sally says, ask Mr. Jimmy if I can post it on X. Yes, Mr. Jimmy, I want to post it on X if you send it to me because I want to see those, what do you call them, dragon rolls on the top of the head and then the ducktail in the back. And, yeah, I don't want fop, dadgummit. I'm a Dapper Dan man. Well, if you want Dapper Dan, it's going to take about 2 weeks. Well, isn't this place a geological oddity? 2 weeks away from everything. And I kindly ask you not to use that type of language. This here's a public market. If you know, you know. That's all I can tell you. If you know, you know. Wes, we'll get to you in a moment. It's 52 after the hour. An interesting Libertarian lunchtime hour so far on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hey, friends, Matt Murphy here, and I want to talk to you about your personal health and safety. We've been discussing that over the course of the last hour or so. In this case, I want to talk about your home and your home security, and if you have a safe in your home. And if not, why not? Why wouldn't you want to protect those valuables that you've worked so hard to secure, whether they're sentimental items, personal items, paperwork and whatnot that matter to you, deeds and titles and such, or jewelry or other valuables? And yes, your guns. Protect those things that protect you and your family with a safe from from Nashville Safe House. They have well over 200 safes in stock on the showroom floor, ready for you to see. And then they have another 300 or 400 or so in their warehouse. They have a safe for you at Nashville Safe House. They have a price point for you at Nashville Safe House, and they have a brand that you will love at Nashville Safe House. So I want you to go by and see them. You can find them online at NashvilleSafeHouse.com. Say hello to Mark and the team when you stop by on 4th Avenue South, right across the street from City Cemetery. Browse and peruse the incredible selection, unmatched in the industry. And when I say that, I mean all across the United States of America. We've got it right here in Nashville at Nashville Safe House.
I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories, and we have a massive traffic problem about 94 miles southeast of Nashville. This is impacting both directions of 24. It is closed both directions. They're between Monteagle and Pelham. I'm not really seeing what the issue is, but both directions of 24 shut down there between Monteagle and Pelham. And it looks like they're diverting traffic off to Highway 41. That is extremely backed up, too. So if your business today takes you 94 miles southeast of Nashville, whether you're coming here or leaving, just know that Monteagle right now, there between Monteagle and Pelham, it is a mess in traffic. We'll try to get you some more details as soon as possible. Got the full forecast coming up in 5 minutes. Got reports of an explosion at a California courthouse. Here's Jason Nathanson.
Authorities responding to a reported explosion at the Santa Maria Courthouse in California, according to the Santa Barbara County Sheriff's Office. People have been told to stay away from the area. On social media, Santa Barbara County Sheriff Public Information Officer Raquel Zick wrote that the scene has not been deemed safe. No word so far if anyone was hurt or not. The courthouse was the scene of the Michael Jackson child molestation trial in 2005.
The Kentucky sheriff charged with shooting and killing a judge in his chambers last week is in court today.
Your Honor, you would enter a plea of not guilty and request a date for preliminary hearing.
That is Public Defender Josh Miller speaking on behalf of Letcher County Sheriff Sean Steins at his first court appearance this morning. A special judge overseeing the case says Steins could face the death penalty if convicted. He'll be back in court October 1st. Here in Tennessee, a Jefferson County family speaking out after what police are saying was a deadly case of road rage Monday morning.
There was no reason for this, none. If you're that mad and driving, then go back home or seek Jesus one, because that's not right.
59-year-old Derwin Wilds was arrested and charged with voluntary manslaughter in the shooting death of Jordan Price following what police say was an argument before the shooting. Price is a Jefferson County High School grad and a father of a 15-month-old son. Did you hear about this in Texas? Neighbors say it was like a scene from a horror movie. Thousands of bees attacking an elderly man in the front yard of his home in suburban Fort Worth. This is Jim Ryan reporting.
The bees had built hives inside a tree. This woman found her 72-year-old neighbor on the ground.
There was clumped on his face.
She called 911.
I can tell that he was coming in and out of consciousness.
The man is in critical condition. His 77-year-old wife also was stung.
And once again, 94 miles southeast of Nashville, I-24 is shut down both directions between Monteagle and Pelham. That's the latest news. Weather is next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Very excited about what's going on at Brentwood Hearing Center. Hey, friends, it's Matt Murphy, and I love talking to you about your hearing health, right? Their team of audiologists and doctors at Brentwood Hearing Center are committed to providing their patients with the most recent hearing device technology. Their leadership team recently announced the launch of a revolutionary new hearing aid called the Phonak Sphere, which is dedicated to helping patients hear well in situations where there is a lot of background noise. And this happens quite a bit, whether it's at a ball game, a cocktail party, a noisy restaurant, out to dinner, visiting with friends, or even in your own home. The Phonak Sphere will help you out when their computer chip, it's dedicated to helping address speech within noise and drawing out that speech. If you have difficulty hearing conversation with this background noise, please give them a call today and allow them to schedule a demonstration of this incredible hearing aid technology, which connects directly to your smartphone and or your television. Give Brentwood Hearing Center a call, 615-377-0420, 377-0420, or visit them online at BrentwoodHearingCenter.com. Brentwood Hearing Center. Better hearing for a better life. Hello, friends. It is the Matt Murphy Radio Show underway for the second hour on this Wednesday edition, September 25. We'll welcome Cameron Smith to the program in the 2 o'clock hour today. You on the phones until then, 615-737-9986, 615-737-WWTN. You can also hit us up on the membersnutrition.com super text line. A lot of you screaming and yelling at me today, and that's all well and good. I'm here for the ball club. I'm here to help the ball club in any way that I possibly can. So by all means, scream, yell, say hello, whatever you want to do on the membersnutrition.com super text line or on the phone lines. We're welcoming it. If you missed the first hour of the show, the Libertarian Lunchtime Hour, we had a discussion. For some reason, I brought up an example of seatbelt usage as to how government laws passed by government have affected the behavior of man. That's the only thing I was saying. I wasn't even saying that I agreed necessarily with those laws passed, but there is no question that the passage of seatbelt laws across the country have affected behavior. No question whatsoever. I mean, statistically, it is, empirically, you see the data, that there is no disputing that prior to the passage of these laws, relatively very few people used seatbelts. After the passage of the law, and obviously it comes with good reason, in as much as now automobiles always come with seatbelts and not just lap harnesses, but shoulder harnesses in the driver's compartment, et cetera, et cetera. Anyway, 615-737-9986. That led to a discussion about motorcycle helmet use and whether or not it is appropriate for governments to mandate motorcycle helmets. I do not believe that that is the case because my concern is not for the individual making those decisions. My concern is more so for other individuals that might be impacted by those decisions unbeknownst to them, such as someone getting behind the wheel of a car, drinking and driving. I don't care so much about that individual. They're making their own choices and they have to live by those choices. I do care about how others might be impacted on our highways and byways as a result of those choices. Now, before we get to some of your telephone calls, speaking of highways and byways, I don't know if you caught Ken Weaver's newscast. I certainly hope you did. That's why most of you are listening. It ain't for me. Trust me. But Ken was telling you about this issue, and I looked up the map, and it looks bad.
Yeah, it's real bad.
It looks bad. And Ken, I know you're looking at it over there too, and I understand this is significantly south of us.
Yeah, it's about 94 miles, and it's a big old multi-vehicle crash.
Oh my goodness gracious! And that's right in that area before you get to, and I've traveled that area quite a bit on my motorcycle. And oftentimes I'm not on the interstate, but before you get to Chattanooga, the roadways, the mountainous region of that area dictates that the roads kind of get real curvy, even on the interstates.
Right.
They get pretty curvy, and it looks like, it looks like this backup before they're forcing people to get off in Pelham is significant going south.
Yeah, what I'm looking at right now, Brother Murphy, is it looks like they have... though there is one westbound lane that is blocked, and the left shoulder is blocked. So it looks like they're letting people through if you're going westbound. It looks like it is the people who were caught in the crash and were already backed up there. It looks like they're trying to find a way to let them get on through on up to Pelham. But if you are eastbound, you are shut down right there at Pelham. you're going to have to take 50 over to 41, and that's a parking lot. And then westbound right there at Mont Eagle, that is shut down. And you're going to have to head over to 41 to try to head toward Nashville from there. And that's a parking lot, too.
And, Lord, that 41 area, I've traveled that on my motorcycle. There's some switchbacks on that road.
Yeah.
Can you imagine a big rig trying to make it?
Yeah, man.
I mean, I hate that for everybody involved. I mean, obviously, particularly for the people involved in the accident, but
it's going to be a mess.
It is going to be a mess for a while. So, like Ken told you during the newscast, if you've got business south of Nashville, south of our area, south of Manchester, and you're planning on going on 24, you just might want to rethink your route.
Yep.
Because it's bad. Just check out your map. And most of us have one of those apps where you can look at a map and see what the traffic's doing. It is nasty. We'll keep you updated all afternoon long from the newsroom. Ken Weaver and Super Talk 99.7 WTN. But bad news south of us on I-24. All right, Mark wants to talk motorcycle helmets. Before we get to Mark, we'll get to Wes. He's first in line. Hey, Wes, how are you?
Hey, how you doing? Thank you for taking my call.
Of course.
2 thoughts.
Yes, sir.
One about helmets and one about seatbelts.
Yes, sir.
Years and years and years ago, I actually had the opportunity to work with a Virginia state senator. He's a Democrat, but he was a blue dog Democrat. And the place we worked at, one of the fellow workers got all up in the senator's face about how dare you pass a law to make me wear a helmet, a motorcycle helmet. And the senator, very dignified, said, look, he says, you have insurance here, right? And the guy said, yeah. He says, okay. He says, it's $1 million policy. So if you have an accident, you're in a coma, and you're laying in a hospital, you know, after $1 million, the insurance company stops paying. Then that hospital is going to go after your family's assets and money and bank accounts. When that's cleaned out, then the state takes over. He says, then that's why I have the right to tell you to wear a crash helmet on a motorcycle. Plain and simple, because eventually it all comes. And he looked at me. He says, and then you, young man, you'll be paying for him not wearing a helmet. And I was like, you need to get a darn helmet. But the other thing about seatbelts, years ago, family was driving down the road, and this gentleman was driving somewhere, but he had 7 kids in his car, not one wearing a seatbelt. And he plowed into a car they both plowed into us, and we plowed a car in front of him. It was a huge accident, 5 cars involved. One of the people from that initial car, one of the girls, was ejected, and she came to rest on Mercury Boulevard in Hampton, Virginia, just a few inches in front of where my father's car stopped. We were within inches of rolling over that young lady's head. And that car we drove in, when we first moved back to this country, we bought a Dodge Dart Swinger. And my mother had a hissy fit because they didn't have seatbelts. She said, you're putting seatbelts in that car. And I think back to that accident every time. I look at my grandkids and said, put the darn seatbelts on and we're not moving. And they get all pissy about it. But you know what, though? I don't want to see them laying on the side of the road. If there's an accident, they get ejected. That's plain and simple. So, you know, the guy says, oh, he's got hip problems. Everybody's going to have an excuse why they don't wear a seatbelt. But again, if there's an accident, you're safer in that car than being thrown down the street and stuff like that. And that's, you know, it's law of averages, it's statistics. You're saving yourself. But, you know, you don't, because personally, I don't want to end up on the side of Highway 41 out here all sprawled out and bloody and stuff like that, people looking at me.
Well, and a couple of things to unpack here, and I appreciate your call. I was unaware, and my good friend Richard, who continues to listen from Alabama, and he is a learned person on these subjects because he is a judge in the state of Alabama, and that's all I'll say about that. I don't want to call Richard out. He's probably in chambers listening to our show right now as we speak. Anyway, I don't know if Tennessee has these seatbelt law exceptions, but he quoted Alabama law, which provides for exceptions for the seatbelt law. The provisions of subsection A shall not apply to a child passenger under the purview of section 325222, who's required to use a child passenger restraint system. In other words, if you're using a child seat, you don't have to use a seatbelt. Makes sense. Number 2, an occupant of a passenger car who possesses a written statement from a licensed physician that he or she is unable for medical reasons to wear a safety belt. So that's a part of Alabama law. I do not know if it is a part of Tennessee law, but that might go to the caller that said he had hip issues and it made it unable. I mean, obviously, every rule is going to have demonstrable exceptions, just about, that can demonstrate why the rule might not necessarily apply to everyone. And then it goes on, a rural letter carrier of the United States Postal Service, while performing his or her duties as a rural letter carrier in Alabama, doesn't have to wear a seatbelt. A driver or passenger delivering newspapers or mail from house to house, or passengers in a passenger car with a model year prior to 1965. I think that was the year that seatbelts became mandatory in automobiles. Passengers in motor vehicles which normally operate in reverse. Okay, what are those? So passengers in motor vehicles that normally operate in reverse, you do not have to wear your seatbelt. Congratulations. Now, this is in Alabama now. This isn't in Tennessee, but I absolutely love it. Thank you, Mr. Richard, for providing that information. That's good stuff. Now, just a quick anecdotal story, and I'll move on from this. My mother had a malignant brain tumor when I was 5 years old, and they took it out, and she had brain cancer. And they took it out, and it took her years to kind of recover her ability to speak, her ability to function, her ability to walk, and her ability to operate something like an automobile. My grandpa, whom I talk about often on this show, taught me to drive when I was 12 years old. His main purpose for teaching me how to drive when I was 12 years old is, as stated by him, if I don't, your mama's going to kill you. And he said that woman never knew how to drive a car, and the brain cancer sure as hell didn't help. So Mama was an awful driver and would regularly get into accidents, even before her brain surgery. So she had brain surgery in 1978, and around 1981, she started back driving, I think, in 1980, and it was on her insistence that she be allowed to drive again. And she was not very good. Anyway, in 1981, my mother got into an automobile accident in front of the high school in Thompson, Georgia, Thomsom, no P in Thompson. And she came over on an 18-wheeler, or it wasn't an 18-wheeler, but it was a large truck. And that truck bumped her and eventually hit a telephone pole. And in the ensuing accident, the truck rolled over on her Mercury and crushed it. My mother, the car, right before the truck crushed it, flipped over, and my mother flipped out of the front seat into the back seat. She was not wearing her seatbelt. And she was in the hospital for any number of days, and it was a touch and go there for a minute, but she turned out all right. The point of me telling you this story is, my mother was one of the rare exceptions that had she been wearing a seatbelt, she would have been crushed. I remember as a young 8 or 9-year-old, my grandpa taking me out, and we looked at the Mercury that my mother was in, and the entire front compartment had been crushed by the truck. The back of the car, the rear seat, was okay, and that's where Mama ended up. So understand that I know intimately that there are exceptions, and many of you are demonstrating those, to the general rule that you are going to be better, you will be better to survive an accident if you have your seatbelt on. 99.9% of the time, that is the case. It is not 100%. Life just isn't 100%, and I understand that. Mark is next on the issue of motorcycle helmets. Hey, Mark, how are you?
Hey, good. So the last guy got half of my point about motorcycle helmets. Yes, accidents cost all of us money, whether it's a car or a motorcycle accident in the long run. A quick point about the seat belts. I'm 62. When we were going from Oklahoma to Arizona in my grandfather's Chevrolet Impala, the children rode in the floorboard. There were no seat belts. We get smarter with age. As time goes by, we get smarter, or we're supposed to get smarter. On the motorcycles and the cars, there is no right to drive. It's a privilege. So if you're on a motorcycle, we expect you to be smart about it. You know, for everybody's sake, it does affect everybody. Like I said, if you crash, But if you're not going to be smart enough about it to wear a helmet, then we have to be smart for you and tell you to wear a helmet. If you've ever been in a motorcycle wreck or seen a motorcycle wreck, you will wear one.
Well, I don't know if you know this or not, Mark, but I ride a motorcycle. I have a Harley, a 2016 Low, and I wear a helmet. If I'm traveling around town, I've got a bucket or a 3/4. I've also got a full face for longer trips. It just makes sense to me. I could not go at speed and get bugs in my teeth to the point that I'd be willing to not wear a helmet. But all of that to say, to each their own. I don't begrudge people that do it differently, but I don't want to pay for your accident. I do not want to pay through my tax dollars to keep you in the ICU with your head all smashed in, your brain's full of mush, because you chose to not wear a helmet, and now I have to pay for that. If we can figure out a way to carve out the insurance provision, you have to pay more for the insurance, that's all well and good. I'm not here to deny you your freedoms. I just don't want to have to pay for it on the back end. That's it. It's 21 after the hour. Super Talk 99.7 WTN. You know, as a part of what Paul Winkler does for us on a day-to-day basis, I love telling you where he stands on particular issues of importance to the listening audience. And I want to talk to you for a moment about annuities, because Paul has watched as more and more companies provide these possibilities of annuities. And man, oh man, they sound good when they're talking about them. I would encourage you to call Paul Winkler and find out more about annuities and what they mean and what they don't mean, because let me tell you something. It is important to know. Commissions that are paid on deferred annuities, you don't need to do this, folks. Deferred annuities are bad news, according to Paul Winkler. Annuities are almost never used for the purpose for which they were designed, which is paying out a lifetime income. This can get tricky because advisors try to sell this stuff, and they sell it to people that ought not to have it. If you hear about someone offering a deferred annuity to an elderly person, that is wrong, and Paul knows that. It's why I love Paul Winkler. It's why I'm a client of Paul Winkler's, and why I love each time I talk about him on the radio. He instructs me to remind you that I get paid to talk about Paul Winkler on the radio, because that's the rules, and Paul does abide by the rules. Let's talk about these annuities with Paul Winkler. Before you go one step further investing in one, you need to know the pitfalls, and you need to know where Paul's concerns lie with regard to these things. Friends, I encourage you to contact Paul Winkler. Do so by going to paulwinkler.com. That's paulwinkler.com, or give him a call today. He would love to hear from you. Paul Winkler is available for you to help assist in any and all of your needs. 615-851-1950. 851-1950 for Paul Winkler.
All right, if you got business in Chattanooga or if you have people coming in from Chattanooga, you need to know that I-24 east and westbound is shut down between Monteagle and Pelham. They are diverting over to 41, and it is backed up too. This is because of a multi-vehicle crash. We got the top stories coming up at 1:30. On Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
You know, Ken Weaver, you're reminding me, I forget what movie it was, but there's a scene out of a movie.
Yeah.
Where somebody's telling some, old timer where he's going.
Was it a real good looking fella?
No, the fella saying to the old timer, I'm going down here, and he goes, he's asking him directions.
Oh, yeah.
He goes, how do I get to, Hoboken?
Yeah.
He said, I don't think you can get there from here. So if you're
a Yankee accent.
I don't think you can get there from here. If you're going to Chattanooga, Ken Weaver says you can't get there from here. You're going to have to go the other way.
Not unless you want to swing down through Deckard and Winchester.
Old Deckard. I've been through Deckard more times than I can count going down to Timms Ford Lake.
What about Tracy City? You been through Tracy City?
I've never been through Tracy City.
That looks like that'd be a pretty cool place.
But I would love that. I've been to Deckard. I've been to Manchester. I've been to Manchester. That's a good one.
Oh, look at all those national parks, man, or state parks. Grundy Lake, South Cumberland State Park.
I've been down to, I've been past Arnold Air Force Base down there. Seen all those. There's a lot of stuff going on down there, and mostly it's traffic related nowadays because of the issue that Ken's telling you about. So, is it legal? I want to know. I've got a question for y'all, and I don't know the answer to this. Is it legal to ride in the bed of a pickup truck in the state of Tennessee?
Boy, we used to do that all the time growing up.
Man, we did too, boy. We loved it. And I wonder. I mean, I wouldn't make it illegal if I were king for the day, but I'm curious. Is it legal? Is it still legal? I think some states made it illegal to ride in the bed of a pickup truck.
Wow. I got halfway through typing that sentence and it's already up. Yes, it is legal to ride in the bed of a truck in Tennessee, but there are restrictions depending on the age of the rider and the type of road.
Okay.
Children under 6, never allowed in the bed of a pickup truck.
All right.
Children 6 to 11, sometimes allowed, depending on the type of road.
Mm-hmm.
Children 12 and older, always allowed, including on the interstate.
I bet we're talking dirt roads. Dirt roads, it's always legal. I hope it's always legal on the dirt roads. Because that man, oh man, I can't tell you the number of times. My brother and I get in the back of the bed of the pickup truck, my grandpa's GMC truck, driving on dirt roads outside of Thompson, Georgia, no P in Thompson. Used to love that.
Man, I remember one time a church trip. Whenever I was probably 8 or 9 years old, a church trip from Tulsa, Oklahoma up to Worlds of Fun in Kansas City. Half of us rode in the back of a pickup all the way up there and back.
Worlds of Fun.
It was cold at night, too. We were covered by blankets.
Worlds of Fun sounds like the type of place where a couple kids didn't make it out.
It had a brand new roller coaster. It went upside down. Everybody was, woo, boy, we got to go ride that thing.
When you're done at Worlds of Fun, everybody, let's get a count. How many we got?
And it was a church trip, so we had a word of prayer beforehand.
Well, you probably needed at Worlds of Fun. Listen, nobody go on the tilt-a-whirl. Jimmy puked. You're going to have to clean it. So, Worlds of... Hey, we had 24 when we got here. If we're within 2, let's go.
And there's that roller coaster. It's still there. I just brought up a picture of it.
It's called Worlds of Fun.
I mean, this was like 40, 50 years ago, man. And I mean, that apparently is the attraction still to this day.
I'm going to look this up. Worlds
of Fun. Kansas City, Missouri.
I'm looking at it right now.
Yeah, what do you think about that?
Look. Is that the roller coaster?
That is it.
Oh, that's a metal coaster, Ken. Way to go. Y'all, man, oh, man. Y'all living in high cotton over there.
Well, the scariest ride was in the back of that pickup to and from Kansas City.
That's the truth. I mean, if you can make it to the amusement park, nothing scares you once you get there.
It's a crazy Southern Baptist.
Oh, man. I used to love those days. We would get so cold. We'd go to the lake, Clark Hill Lake, because we lived in Georgia, so we call it Clark Hill Lake. Over in South Carolina, they called it Lake Thurman.
Oh,
It was a
okay.
big debate. And we'd go to Clark Hill Lake, and we loved riding down to Clark Hill Lake because we were dry.
Right.
But when you're riding back and you're all wet and it's dark and so it's cold, oh, that's a different world altogether. You learn to forgive your brother whatever he did to you on the lake, and you huddle up.
That is not a world of fun.
No. I like this world of fun, though. Man, $50 to get in, though, Ken.
$50 and you're in, man. You can even see a dinosaur peering at you from around a fern.
The things I learned from you, that's awesome. All right, Steve and Dan want to talk about seatbelts. So does Bonnie, Jerry. I don't know. By the way, these are my favorite shows where I have no idea how we got to talking about this, but I absolutely love the subject. And frankly, can I be a little honest with you, folks? I'm always honest with you. The presidential contest, it's boring me a little bit right now. I got to be honest. I mean, it is. I mean, who has not drawn their line in the sand as to where they are? You either believe in the country that was founded by our founding fathers or you don't. And if you believe in it, you vote Trump. And if you don't, you vote Kamala Harris. And that's just about the end of that story. So I'm a little bit, I'm ready to take a little bit of a break for the final push starting in October on the way to November 5th. I'm not giving up on the discussion, and I've got some things to say about Joe Biden's appearance on The View earlier today, which, speaking of a world of fun, boy, oh boy, that was just a world of fun. I felt upside down and sideways a couple of times watching that. So we'll get into all of this. It's 1:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Ken Weaver with your top stories. Again, I-24 is shut down between Monteagle and Pelham. This is about 94 miles southeast of Nashville. Keep that in mind. Got a multi-vehicle crash there. An explosion this morning at a courthouse in California. And we get more from Jason Nathanson in Santa Barbara.
Shane Mellon was at the Santa Barbara County Superior Courthouse in Santa Maria, California for a trial. He says it was a scary scene.
We were sitting in the courtroom and I heard an extremely loud bang, and
he says he came outside to see something smoldering, almost on fire.
Someone screaming and 4 or 5 individuals trying to restrain that guy. And
one person was detained by police. No one appears to have been hurt.
Here in Nashville, a report finds District Attorney General Glenn Funk secretly recorded conversations of defense attorneys, staff members, and visitors. The state comptroller released it today, saying it shows a lack of integrity, and it questions whether the public can trust Funk to carry out his responsibilities. State Attorney General Jonathan Skermetti says he's reviewed the report and will not prosecute Funk because there is not sufficient evidence to get a conviction. Funk's office claiming victory in a statement saying this matter's at an end and neither he nor his office committed any crimes or broke any law. This office, it says, will continue its mission to support victims, hold offenders accountable, and keep Nashville safe. And this is from a hearing today for the Kentucky sheriff accused of the shooting death of a judge in his chambers last week.
You're charged with murder, a capital offense here in Kentucky, a Class A felony, punishable by 20 to 50 years in prison, 25 years to life in prison, 25 years to life without the possibility of parole, and the possibility of the death penalty.
That was Judge H. Rupert Wilhoit III addressing Letcher County Sheriff Sean Steins, whose public defender entered a not guilty plea to first-degree murder. That's the latest news. Weather's next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Hey, folks, Matt Murphy for the Dr. Gill Center for Back, Neck, and Chronic Pain Relief in Franklin. They're great at what they do at the Dr. Gill Center. They helped me. I know I had lower back pain and upper back pain. They've alleviated my neck pain completely. My lower back pain has been mitigated to the point that I'm able to enjoy motorcycle activity. I can go for a ride and not worry about back pain. I can go and play a round of golf and not worry about it as well. The Dr. Gill Center gives me that ability because their qualified chiropractic care center is top notch, and they have brought so many advanced technologies to Middle Tennessee, like spinal decompression. Did not exist before Dr. Gill brought it to Middle Tennessee. So many people think they're just a chiropractic care center, and they are certainly, but they do many soft tissue-related industry. They have industry equipment like the Class 5 laser system, I should say, red light therapy, as well as the spinal decompression. They're going to bring you relief, whether it's soft tissue or whether it's spinal in nature. So if you got back pain, neck pain, knee pain, hip pain, elbow pain, wherever it hurts, the Dr. Gill Center can help. Schedule that appointment today at 615-882-4838, 615-882-4838. It's the Dr. Gill Center for Back, Neck, and Chronic Pain Relief in Franklin. Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Anybody hear about Tommy Lee's wife saving their dog from the coyote?
I saw that.
Did you see that, Ken Weaver?
She ran right at it, boy.
Oh, man, oh, man. When you talk about dealing with your puppy dogs, come on now.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Have you not seen this, Sammy? It's a good video.
Yeah, you got to look at it.
You got to look at that. It's like one of these Ring videos, and you see Tommy Lee out there, and he walks one way, and then the coyote runs over to the pool, and there's two little dogs there, and the coyote just grabs one of the little dogs and just runs off with it, and the woman just, she's chasing after him.
Yeah.
And apparently the coyote dropped the dog.
Yeah. Yeah, he did.
There you go.
You got to look out for those coyotes.
Man, oh, man.
They like those little dogs.
And, you know, you know what I've been told, and I don't know that I've ever experienced this or heard specific stories, Ken, but the large predator birds, they'll come after your little yippy dogs, too, like chihuahuas and whatnot.
Well, now, you know, I got a little fat wiener dog named Fritz.
Mm-hmm.
And there for a while, whenever I was working mornings, I'd take him out, and there'd be a hoot owl.
Uh-oh.
And
watch out for those hoot owls.
Well, I was ready for him.
Yeah.
I had a bat with me.
like a
baseball
bat. Oh, baseball. Okay, I was misunderstood you. You know, we need to get Fat Wiener Dog Fritz and Little Mrs. Beasley together.
All right.
And see what would happen.
Well, Fritz would probably growl and bark.
Oh.
Yeah, Fritz isn't friendly with other animals. That's why I had to stop taking him to the dog park. He's picking fights.
With big old Great Danes.
Yeah, man. I mean, just growling and snarling at him. All they wanted to do was, he's a little fella. So they come up on him.
Just one sniff on him, say hey.
Yeah, Fritz, he's not about that.
He doesn't put up with that.
You should have seen the day one day, man. This French bulldog tried to, tried to wrestle him.
Yeah, sure.
Fritz wasn't having any of it.
Uh-huh.
He chased that fat bulldog all over that little dog park we have in our neighborhood. Oh man, I couldn't get my phone out fast enough to record it.
When I first got Henry Hound Dog, right? I rescued him off the chain, and he was a big old boy. He's a great half Great Dane. And they nicknamed, Henry had never been around other dogs. And so I wanted to kind of get him associated. And he was young and just excited and excitable. And it was before we had him snipped.
Yeah.
And they nicknamed him Henry the Humper at the dog park. Because, man, anything that moved, he was just as excited as he could be. And he just wanted to come up and say hello to you.
That's just like this English bulldog. His name is George. George, he was just friendly.
Yeah.
But he liked to wrestle.
Well, that's right.
He had a particular move that other dogs didn't appreciate, especially little fat Fritz. I mean, it was funny, man. George, get out of here. Stop that now.
Come on now. Hey, Murphy, Henry the Humper's over here on my dog, would you? Yes. Would everybody, can you imagine me, kid, at the dog park? There's 50. Would everybody stop calling John Henry the Humper, please? We're working on it.
Exactly.
We're working on it.
Oh, John Henry, man. What a great name for a dog.
That was Erica. That was all Erica. I've told the story before. We rescued him, and I had a 15-year-old dog, and Hody, and we knew that Hody was kind of, in his waning years. He was blind, and we couldn't really introduce a new dog, but we needed to get Henry a new place to live. And so we were just going to foster him. But I wanted him from the beginning, man. I wanted Henry from the moment I saw him.
Yeah.
And but I was abiding by the rules of the house, and the rules of the house were we were going to foster him, we're going to find him another place.
Mm-hmm.
And about 3 weeks into it, he stayed in the downstairs area, kind of in a basement area that was open to the backyard. Because we couldn't have him and Hody in the same room because Hody wanted to fight him, right?
Yeah.
So I come home. I'm begging to keep this dog, and Erica says, no, we're not doing it. We're not doing it. We're not. We need a break, and we've got this to deal with. I mean, we have the prospect of having to take Hody on his final ride. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well, one day I come home and I open up the downstairs door, and there's Erica laying in the floor with we called him Seabiscuit because he was so big. He was like a horse.
Yeah.
And she looked at me and she said, I think we should name him John Henry because he's too big for one name. And you know what I thought, Ken? I thought, I got myself a new dog.
That's right. Yes, you do, buddy.
You name it and you keep it.
That's right.
Oh,
that's right.
Absolutely. Well, watch out for those coyotes. Tommy Lee's wife is here to help if you need it.
That's right, man.
All right, Jerry wants to talk about World of Fun. Hey, Jerry, what's up?
Hey, this is Gary.
Sorry
listen, that's all right. I was going to tell you about my Marine Corps World of Fun, but I don't know. I think I might go to chickens because I got a funny chicken one if you want to hear it. I mean, seriously, y'all are cracking me up past 40 minutes.
Wait,
all right, let's do the chicken one.
Oh, okay. Let's do the chicken one. I don't think I've ever declined this offer. Hey, I mean, if Jerry or Gary, pardon me, is it Gary? Is that right?
Yeah, Gary.
Gary. I will say this is not the first time a man's walked up to me and said, "Hey, have you heard my chicken story?"
Oh, this is a true chicken story now.
Okay.
I had this banty rooster. He was a little black banty rooster. He's beautiful. And we had little boys at the time. We were living in College Grove area. And come time, the Williamson County Fair was opening up for the first time in 52 years. And brand new. And I thought, for the boys, let's enter them into, see if they'll win a blue ribbon down there at the poultry house. So, that's a great idea. So we all drive down there in my pickup truck, wife and the two kids, boys, and they were about 10, 11, 12, that age range. So we get on down there, and they got birds everywhere. It was huge. And sure enough, they took him, and they put him in. I had him in a cage, and that's where he was. Well, days gone by, I'm at work. My wife calls me and goes, "Hey, Gary, we got to do something here. Ever since, them 14 range hens are all over the place, front porch. There's no control. Without Junior, it's falling apart." I said, "All right, I'll do something." So we went a day early, the next day, to the fair to get Junior, and they let us have him. And he won a blue ribbon. He was a blue ribbon.
All right.
So we drove back home. I backed the truck up to where 2 persimmon trees were, my horse trailer, behind on the garage side of the house. And we were living on the side of a hill. So anyway, I dropped the tailgate, said, "All right, boys, Junior's back. He's going to get control of this mess. This 14 hens are going to be put back in control." I opened up the cage. He charges out of there and goes after all 14 of them doing you-know-what.
Uh-oh.
All 14. Then he does a wobble walk over to one of my persimmon trees, falls over on the side, and one of my boys go, "Daddy, what happened? Is he dead?" I said, "Well, first off, he's trying to discipline the hens." Of course,
Right. That's right.
And I said, "We might as well go over there, but I'm not giving them out the mouth." And that rooster was on his side, on the roof, with his feet cattywampus in the air, just, I guess, trying to live.
Was he
30 minutes later,
trying to catch his breath?
He was catching his breath, and then all 14 of them hens. But he had him in control, and the next hour, he put his wings up, and he's herding them, and he's giving them what for, and our whole problem ended. But I thought it lost me a rooster.
Yep.
Well, that would have been a hell of a way to go, I guess.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, I thought I was a rooster. He was a real rooster.
Well, Gary, when I was a younger man, we told stories about going out that way. That's awesome. Hey, well, when you've been out of the hen house for a while, you need to make sure that you're still cock of the walk, as they say. All right, that's a great story. That's pretty good.
That was.
I like that. Have you ever heard of Mike the Headless Rooster, Ken?
No.
It's a great story.
I have not.
Just, I encourage, if y'all have never, this is an absolutely, Mike the Headless Rooster was a sideshow show attraction. I want to say back in the 1940s. I could have my decade wrong. No, this is a serious, I don't even think Mike was, Mike might have been a chicken. One way or the other. I mean, chicken, rooster, whatever. They tried to cut the head off of Mike. Mike was going to be dinner.
Yeah.
And they cut his head off, but his cortex, his cerebral cortex remained on his head, and the chicken lived. And everybody thinks I'm making this up when I bring it up. Look up, I think his name was Mike. Look up Mike the Headless Rooster.
Mike the Headless.
I think his name was Mike. I think I'm right. You got it?
Google's listening to us, man. The minute I type something in, it does it by itself. Mike the Headless Chicken.
Yes.
There it is.
He lived. They fed him with an eyedropper.
Lived for 2 years.
2 years without a head.
A male Wyandotte chicken.
There you go. There you go. It is a fascinating story. And the dude, the guy was smart, because he chopped the head off, and you know how chickens do. They run around for a while. And, well, Mike ran around for a while and never flopped over. And eventually he was just standing around, no head.
He has no head.
So He took him around to sideshows, and I bet you for like a nickel, you could see Mike the Headless Rooster at the circus.
Wow.
That's pretty cool. Bonnie is on the subject of seat belts. Bonnie, thank you for your call. How are you?
Yes, I'm doing good. I'm enjoying all these stories about the chickens and stuff.
Well, I'm glad you are.
Especially the man that just called in. And just the way you are laughing, you're making me laugh.
Well, I'm glad. We just, you know what? It's that kind of day, Bonnie. I'm glad we're having a little fun today because the news is so rough.
I know it's wearing me out. I'm about tired of hearing about all Trump and Kamala Harris.
I just need a break.
Anyways, you were talking about the seat belts, and I thought, you know, what kind of story do I have? So I had this friend of mine. He used to drive for Ricky Van Shelton, and, of course, he's dead now. He died 3 years ago, and I swore he died from the COVID shot because after he got the shot, he started to get sick. And within December, he got the shot in March. In December, he died. So he died from a brain aneurysm.
Mm-hmm.
But anyways, his son drives for Sarah Evans and Jason Aldean. But anyways, Don was my best friend. And Don and I would go places and do things. And he told me the story about seatbelts. And I said, you need to put your seatbelt on. He said, I'm not wearing that seatbelt. He said, I don't care how many tickets I get. He was from Amaretta, Texas. And he told me that his cousin years ago was caught in a car wreck, and the car was on fire, and they were trying to get him out. But the only problem was they couldn't get the seatbelt off.
Mm.
So I always try to have a good pair of scissors in my car in case if somebody, you know, is because of that reason trying to cut a seatbelt off. He said, I'll never wear one because my cousin burned alive in a car.
Have you ever heard of, there's a particular type of tool. It's like a little, it's a 3-in-1 little compact emergency tool that you keep in your car that.
I have it.
You have one of those. And they have a little blade on that tool to cut a seatbelt if necessary.
Yeah. Yeah, and it'll also puncture a window if you're in the water.
Right. You can, you can hammer out the window with that tool. It's a good thing to have just in case. But you're right. I mean, I've heard of those types of stories, and old school folks before modern technology caught up with the desire to keep people safe with seatbelts. There were stories like that. Absolutely.
Yes, and I just had this fear of me going down the road and something happening. I know that I was in a car, just one car accident. I did not create it. It was a water truck in Franklin, Tennessee. We weren't going fast at all. We were just on a little side street, and I didn't have a stop sign, and he did, and he ran the stop sign. Of course, my seatbelt come off, but what if it wouldn't have? And what if my car was on fire?
Well,
and
that's right. I mean, these little window hammers, they're like, these things are $10 and less on Amazon.com. Miss Monty, great story, and you're right for sharing it. I mean, obviously, especially those older among us have heard a lot of stories like that. I've got to run. It's 54 after the hour. Get to a break, and we'll be back on Super Talk.
I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. At about 94 miles southeast of Nashville, drivers, you need to know that I-24 is still closed both directions. This is between Pelham and Mont Eagle. There is a crash involving several vehicles. Traffic being diverted to 41 there at Pelham, also there at Mont Eagle. And it's backed up on 41, too. Got the full forecast coming up in 5 minutes. An explosion rocking a courthouse in Santa Maria, California today. Authorities say 2 people suffered non-life-threatening injuries. A person of interest has been detained. Shane Mellon was at the courthouse for a trial when it happened.
We were sitting in the courtroom, and I heard an extremely loud bang, and the bailiff inside of the courtroom went and tried to see what was going on and poked her nose out the door and asked the judge to go back into their chambers.
Santa Barbara County Sheriff spokesperson Raquel Zick says they believe the explosion came from an intentionally set improvised explosive device. Lots of explosions in the Middle East, and the Israeli army's chief of staff saying it's preparing to send troops across the border into Lebanon so residents can safely return to northern Israel. Here's Marcus Moore in Beirut.
Today, there was a constant sound of distant explosions, some of them shaking the windows here in Beirut. But as night has fallen, it seems that the intensity has waned a bit. But this is not over, obviously, and it really does seem like what we have been witnessing here is what so many people have been fearing.
Tens of thousands have been displaced on both sides of the border as Israel and Hezbollah continue to exchange fire. Right now in Nashville, a report released today on the heels of questions brought up by an investigation by News Channel 5 puts a cloud over the integrity and public's confidence in Nashville District Attorney Glenn Funk's office. That according to the Tennessee Comptroller's Office, which says in this report, Funk's office secretly recorded conversations of criminal defense attorneys, members of the DA's staff, and visitors without their knowledge. But Funk's not going to face any criminal charges based on what Tennessee Attorney General Jonathan Skrmetti says is a lack of evidence to support a conviction beyond a reasonable doubt. News Channel 5 says Funk's office quickly declaring victory, saying this matter is now at an end. As General Funk has always stated, neither he nor his office committed any crimes or broke any law. Elsewhere in Nashville, Covenant School wants a new campus, and the Covenant Presbyterian Church is going to help. More than a year after the deadly shooting, the school and the church announcing a capital campaign to support a new campus. And Governor Ron DeSantis telling Floridians, prepare now for Hurricane Helene.
You can hide from the wind, and there will be significant wind on this storm, but you got to run from the water.
Several fire departments from Middle Tennessee, that being Nashville, Franklin, and the Williamson County Emergency Management Agency, went to Florida yesterday to be there to help with water rescues, storm damage cleanup, and any other emergency services needed in the Pensacola area. That's the latest news. Weather is next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Hello, friends. It's Matt Murphy, and let's talk for a moment about the communist pest that won inside of your home. That's right. They're socialist / communist, however you want to describe them. They want what is yours. They want to come in your home. They want to enjoy the warmth when it's cold outside. They want to enjoy the cool when it's warm outside. They want to eat your food, and they want to take up residence in your walls, whether they're rodents or roaches or spiders or whatever. They're coming in and they're taking advantage of you. You want to stop this, and the way that you do that is through our friends at U.S. Pest. JK and Erica are great people, great Americans, and they run a great company. And all over Middle Tennessee and beyond, they are helping you control the pest issues that you might find on your property or in your home. Pest control's very existence is found in its value of preventing insect and rodent-borne diseases, first and foremost. But besides, these things don't belong in your house. They're glomming off the system. They're taking advantage of you, and we need to put a stop to that. Now, in all seriousness, termite protection is imperative in the state of Tennessee. Every home in Tennessee is threatened by termites. You need to get some protection through U.S. Pest. Whether it's termite protection, full-service pest control, or crawl-space service, they do it at U.S. Pest. Go to uspest.com. That's uspest.com. Or give them a call today at 590-1260. That is 615-590-1260 for our friends at U.S. Pest. When it comes to traffic on I-24, the beatings will continue until morale improves. Sadly, I-24 south of Nashville is an absolute mess. Ken Weaver's been telling you about this, and we remind you, I know that many of you are traveling out and about, and maybe you're going south toward Chattanooga. If you are, all I can tell you is try to avoid I-24 if at all possible.
Yeah, Pelham, it is backed up eastbound. It's backed up from Pelham all the way beyond Hillsboro.
By the way,
it's almost to Manchester.
No, it's bad. It's through. It's to Manchester. Just about. That's what I'm looking at too. Now, several people on the members nutrition, and I'm not taking Ken.
Yeah,
I'm not taking a position on this because I don't know.
Well, I just do the news.
But several people are suggesting that it's Pelham.
Pelham. Well, see, Pelham. I started out Pelham, but then I thought, well, maybe it's Pelham.
Well, that's spelled, Ken, it's spelled Pelham. Yeah. So you were doing the right thing. But I know in Alabama, and Cameron Smith is with us of the Tennessean. He oftentimes fills in for me when I'm away, and he comes in on Wednesdays. Hey, Cameron.
Hello, Matt. If there's one L, it's Pelham. If there's two L's, it's Pelham.
That's right.
Giddy up.
That's right.
You know what? Everybody says, why do you have Cameron in? There's a great reason.
Because I'm a giant dork. That's it. Yep.
Speaking of giant dorks, did you hear the chicken story? Never mind. Anyway, there's a nasty accident that it looks bad enough, or it is bad enough that it has shut down the interstate between Pelham and Mont Eagle. And so a lot of people are being rerouted to 41. And it's just quagged that up. So, bottom line is this. If you have to go that way south of Arnold Air Force Base, south of Manchester, maybe figure out a different route because if you get stuck on that interstate, you're going to be there for a long, long time.
I like that word you made up, quagged.
It's quagmire. It's quag.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah, I use that all the time.
The verb of quagmire.
Yeah, it's all quagged.
Yeah.
And trust me, there are other words that people are probably using in traffic.
Can't say it on the radio.
But you can't say that on the radio. Do yourself a favor and stop saying Pelham. Win the hearts and minds of the locals and say Pelham. Well, we have a Pelham. I lived
outside of Birmingham.
15 minutes from a Pelham for a long, long time. So that's the only thing that I know about Pelham. Joe says, Ken was saying Pelham, and it reminded me of Matt Murphy calling it Tim Ford's Lake.
You're never going to live that down, dude.
I thought it was a guy named Tim Ford, and he had a lake.
It was his lake.
And it was his lake, so it was Tim Ford's Lake. I didn't think about a ford being a navigable area. Anyway, we've done. It's Tim's Ford. I got it now.
Dude.
We have spent the day talking about things away from the presidential context.
Excellent.
And I feel better about it. And I don't know why it happened, and I don't know how it happened. I had a list of things to talk about regarding the presidential contest, but do you, like me, feel like we've hit a lull? Yes. A little bit of a lull?
Well, what new information are you looking for that will help you make a decision?
Right.
Is anyone here confused about what they're going to do? I want to meet the person. Please text in or call in if you're the person who's like, well, I'm just kind of on the fence. I just don't think they exist.
We get to a point where I don't believe there are any undecided voters that need to go and vote. Because if you are undecided at this point, I don't believe you're invested in learning enough. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not telling you not, I'm just telling you to maybe sit this one out if you haven't bothered by now.
Yeah, I agree, because it's everywhere. My in-laws are in from Pennsylvania, and they said that their televisions are basically just political campaign ads.
Man.
And they're like, we need it to end.
I bet.
We don't care. We need it to end.
Whereabouts in Pennsylvania?
They live right outside of Harrisburg.
Okay. So they're in the Alabama portion of Pennsylvania.
They are. The suburb areas are purple in Pennsylvania, rural red, city deep blue. And so really it's going to be the suburban voters that are going to decide it.
I mean, I say it all the time, so regular listeners are probably tired of hearing this, but I love it where Pennsylvania is Pittsburgh on one side, Philadelphia on the other side, and 3 Alabamas in the middle.
Yeah, I mean, that's really, Tennessee's kind of that way too.
Sure.
Memphis, Nashville, Knoxville, not really,
a little bit.
But like Memphis and Nashville, very blue.
And then a bunch of red.
Right.
Going on.
Everywhere else.
I feel like after the October 1st vice presidential debate, which, do you agree with me that this vice presidential debate takes on a little bit of added importance given that we're not going to have another presidential debate? Or is it just nothing?
I saw Brett Baer come out and say that they're waiting on Trump on the Fox News debate. And that was news to me. I'd like to see another one just because it's entertaining. I guess it sort of matters. I just don't think. Who is going to watch the vice presidential debate and be like, well, now that J.D. Vance or now that Waltz really did it, he told football stories, and I love football. So come on. I don't think it's going to persuade anybody. I do, as a political dork, I like watching it.
I do too.
That's about it.
Well, we're excited about having I hope you can come to the event at Hop Springs. I know you were there last time, and you were good luck.
Awesome venue.
Oh, it's a great venue. Fox Nation's going to be there, which is exciting. I can't tell you which personalities are going to be there because we've been asked not to by Fox Nation because it might change and they don't want to make promises they can't keep.
Fair.
I have it on pretty good authority that Pete Hegseth might be a part of that, given that he lives in Goodlettsville. Would make sense. But Fox Nation's there. We're there. They tell me I'm going to be on Fox Nation after and I feel weird about it because I feel like I need to explain why my hair looks like this.
You do.
You know what I mean?
You really do.
Everybody, we're family. And the family knows why the hair looks like this.
Yeah.
But if I go on Fox Nation, they're not going to know, and they're just going to think that I'm some sort of redneck from Tennessee.
Yeah, he's in radio, and he doesn't
Which is
care
true.
anymore. He just
I've given up.
They can't really see me that well. They can now, but
just look at this. I've given up. I've given up on life. Go Trump.
Too much. I've been talking about politics for so long.
This is what happens.
I'll tell you what's going to be really strange.
I'm 29 years old.
After the election, particularly if it's anticlimactic, we don't have any explosive stuff. It's just election night. There's a winner, and it's boring. It's going to be just, you talk about lull now, wait till then.
I don't know how that happens. I don't want to make predictions, and I don't want to wish for the worst. Not wish, that's the wrong word. I don't want to predict the worst. But I can't imagine a world where Trump wins and crap doesn't go down in big cities.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sad to say that.
The way I anticipate is you'll have some urban, unrest.
Let's just say dumpster fires, right?
And if Harris wins, we're going to do the fake election.
We're going to be very
thing.
mad. We're going to say they stole it from us again, et cetera, et cetera.
It's kind of sadly
But here's the thing.
predictable.
And this is why I have to wag my finger a little bit. We are 40 days out, and I said this yesterday. if you don't want to be talking about a stolen election down the road, then we need to be volunteering right now to go and be poll watchers or do what is necessary to make sure that everything's on the up and up in these areas that you have suggested were stolen from us in 2020.
Yeah, and it's on the Trump campaign, too. They have armies of attorneys.
Right.
Prepare your challenges.
Now.
You know where it's going to be close. And I've said this from the word go. It is perfectly reasonable in a close election where it's decided by a couple thousand votes or whatever to say, hey, I want a recount there. That candidates can do that. And they can say, hey, we want to see it. We want that. And there's a process for that. Let's do that. And let's get that ready. That didn't happen last time. And there's no excuse this time.
Well, and I feel like regardless of where you are on the spectrum of stolen, right? There are some people that would tell you that the fix was in then and the fix is in now and there's nothing we can do about it. And for those folks, I don't know why you listen to talk radio anymore, because if you feel like the fix is into that point, then there's no coming back from it.
You're basically saying I don't live in a American Republic anymore.
Right.
It's all fake.
It's over.
Okay.
Right. And but I don't begrudge you those feelings and those thoughts.
That's a
I mean,
tough
you're an
view,
American.
but
That's a tough line, but okay. There are some that say, well, that nothing went wrong and everything was fine and everything was on the up and up. And then there's all of us, I think most of us live in the middle somewhere. But in 2020, I think most Trump supporters felt like we had it. Even with COVID, and there was a fear that COVID might do something squirrely on it. But we looked at Joe Biden and it was like, there's no way that America's going to vote for this guy in the basement. And so the election results were quite the surprise. And then we start hearing some of the stories, and then it creates confusion and frustration and anger, et cetera, et cetera. There should be no surprise, no matter where you are on the spectrum, wherever you believe you are, know that you have to fight to get the outcome that you want. And now's the time to do that.
Yeah, and I don't believe the 2020 election was stolen. What I also don't like is the legacy media going to every Republican and saying, do you believe this will be a free and fair election, right? Well, like, what if somebody actually cheats?
Right. How do I know?
I don't know. I don't prejudge an event that's going to happen in the future. I have remedies if I believe there is wrongdoing, and I may need to exercise those. That's a completely fair statement to make. Yet you've got reporters and other folks saying, do you believe that will you commit to this being a free and fair election? Well, how could you do that?
Right.
It hasn't happened.
Right. And oh, by the way, America, I understand that we believe in American exceptionalism, and we believe that we are different because we are in a lot of ways from any other country on God's green earth. But we have seen how other election processes in other countries, whatever you think about 2020, have been corrupted in other places. Why would I not expect without due diligence that could not come here? Give me a break. Well, you're asking me to predict the future.
The administration has literally come out and said Iran and Russia are engaging in malign activities, that they are trying to tamper with our elections. And then they're saying, but you're going to agree in advance that this is free and fair, right?
The best answer to that, and I would love to see somebody pull this answer. So clearly you have a liberal asking the question.
Right.
From probably a liberal news organization, asking a conservative/Republican, do you agree that the 2024 election cycle will be free and fair? And you say, well, I'm very concerned that Donald Trump is going to try to steal this election. Aren't you? Yeah. Don't you have concerns that Donald Trump and Vladimir Putin are going to attempt to steal the election? And then see what they say.
Well, I mean, it's easy for me to say, hey, I've looked at the evidence in hindsight, and I don't think that the 2020 election was stolen, but I will not prejudge something that hasn't happened. I cannot do that. I won't do that. That doesn't mean I don't have faith in America. It's just that I don't tell you. Did you know, Matt, that Georgia and Alabama are going to play on Saturday? I cannot commit to Alabama winning that game.
Sammy, mark this, 20 after the hour. I told you. Didn't I tell you guys that he would bring it up?
I
knew it. I knew it.
But I cannot prejudge the score of that game. It has not happened.
I can.
Okay.
Pain.
Kentucky.
I just think, you remember Rocky III?
Yes.
It's a great scene in Rocky III. Where you go, Clubber, what do you think about it? What do you predict the outcome of the fight? Pain.
Yeah. That's fair. Somebody's going to have some pain one way or another.
By the way, there are random questions coming at you about your coaching in Nolansville.
Yes.
We're going to get into that. And several people have noticed that is quite the fetching Georgia Bulldog red that you're wearing today on Super Talk TV. It's 21 after the hour. This is the Matt Murphy Show on Super Talk. Hello, friends. Matt Murphy for Savory Spice. You know, Holly and David have these incredible Spice and Easy line of product that I encourage those of you who are not as familiar as some with the kitchen to go and get. Because if you've got a special someone coming over, maybe it's a loved one or, you know, your brother, your sister, family members, whatever it might be. Maybe it's a date and you want to do something special and you don't know your way around the kitchen. You could come off as an incredible chef par excellence with the Spice and Easy line. So you get the products and all of the spices are right there in the package for you. They tell you what to buy in the grocery store. They tell you how to prepare it. They give you the full directions. Then you put the spices in. You don't have to worry about, doling out this pinch and dash of that and all of these other things. I mean, it just makes it so easy in the kitchen. Now, experienced chefs already know where to go, and it's Savory Spice because they have the finest product available in Nashville and the surrounding communities. There are 2 locations to serve you. One's in L&L Market on Charlotte Pike, the other in Franklin, just off the square. I love Savory Spice, and they're going to be present and accounted for at our big election night watch party. I'm excited about this. I think they're putting together some goodie packages for us for election night watch. So more to come on that. But right now, you need to get on down to Savory Spice. Locations once again in Franklin and Nashville. Tell them Matt Murphy sent you to the one and only Savory Spice.
All right, 24 still shut down in between Pelham and Mont Eagle. That's both directions. If you're going eastbound, it's backed up beyond Hillsboro there from Pelham. And that is because there are several cars that collided there on 24 in between Pelham and Mont Eagle. Had an explosion rock a courthouse in California today. You got to hear about that at 2:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
It is the Dentist Newscast coming up in a mere 5 minutes on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. You know why I call it that?
Why?
2:30. Get it? You get it? You see what I did there?
Every time you tell me that, I ask, and I'm so sad.
Because you choose to forget.
I choose to forget.
You choose not to live a life where that is in your head.
Active amnesia.
Right, and then I do it again because it makes me giggle every time. Ken's being nice to me back there, but that's deep down. Ken's going, is he going to do this all the time?
Yes,
because I might think about getting up at 2:00 in the morning again if that's the case. Can I go back to mornings, Dad? Because Matt keeps doing the 2:30 thing. Well, we look forward to that newscast. That's a nice Georgia red.
Yeah.
It really is. Thank you for wearing it today.
And your truck is a nice Alabama crimson.
That is cherry apple.
Sure
red.
it is.
That's cherry apple.
It is.
Well, at least I'm not driving around with a white truck like I'm surrendering to the Bulldogs before we even play.
You see that A on the front of it?
This is the smack talk, Weaver.
Yeah.
By the way, can we?
Wish I could smack talk.
No, you're going to be able to after this weekend. We were just talking about this during the break. Weaver has a nice respite because, he played the Vols. The Vols might be playing the best football in the country right now.
And he didn't even have a quarterback.
And Ken Weaver's Oklahoma Sooners didn't, look at that.
They like hated themselves a little. They're like, we got to turn over. Give it back. We got to turn over. You give it back right now.
That's right. That's exactly. It's like, hey, our defense is doing really well. We got the ball. What should we do? I don't think that's fair. Give it back to them.
Just give it back.
Hey, Daddy, how about if we fumble too?
How about if we get some of that fumble-rooski going on?
Yeah.
But they've got the Auburn Tigers this week, and I feel like it's going to be a nice bounce back for the Sooners.
We'll see.
Well, I know one thing for sure. It's not Hugh Freeze's fault.
I feel bad for Freeze. I really do. If we're going to talk ball, let's talk ball.
Let's do it.
I feel a little bad for Hugh Freeze because I went back and I watched the press conference, and he took responsibility like several times, and he said it's on us to prepare the players and yada, yada, yada. And I watched the game. He's not wrong. His quarterbacks are throwing it to the other team.
I just want him to keep recruiting like that, where he's like, come to Auburn. I'll throw you under the bus.
Have y'all heard about the UNLV guy?
I did. I saw that.
Ken, have you heard about the UNLV quarterback?
No.
Oh, this is wild.
This is wild. So UNLV, they get an NIL deal with the guy, and they agree to pay him a certain amount of money to be the quarterback for UNLV, right? And UNLV is like the best Power 5 team.
Yeah, they're ranked now.
They're ranked, and they have a good possibility, if they continue to play well, to be the team that gets in the playoff that's outside of the conference. The quarterback told the team today he quits.
What?
He took a red shirt.
He said, you either will pay me more money or I'm quitting.
So that's not exactly what he said. He said, I was promised $100,000 NIL deal to come be your quarterback. And then you guys didn't honor that promise. And now that NIL collective has said, we never promised you $100,000.
Right. The school says we have honored every commitment that we made to the quarterback. And that's what we're going to say about it. And he's going, I'm not getting the cash that you promised me, so I'm out.
Wow.
That's where we are.
That's where we are.
I don't know why we're acting like this
is strange. That's true. Yeah.
Well, and part of the problem is that you cannot base contracts on performance in many states. I think Alabama is one of those states where you're not allowed to base what you are willing to offer a player. No performance contingencies can go into those agreements. Right. And in some states, they're not really sure whether or not these written contracts are allowable. So some of them have verbals.
Yeah.
And it's making for a lot of confusion. And so this guy's like, you know what? I'm just going to sit down in red shirt so that I don't burn my eligibility. I've got one more year of eligibility, and I'll take my talents to South Beach or wherever the hell I'm going.
That's what's happening with the Titans right now. They're like, we're not blocking until we get paid. And they're just like, see this guy, this big old joker with the gun show arms back there? You don't like this guy? We're not blocking until you pay us. And they haven't done that for 3 straight games.
Apparently.
It's great. It's awesome.
He'll do it on his own.
I love being a Titans fan. It's just like,
as I said on
punch yourself in the face.
As I said, I love living in Nashville, and I became a Titans fan as soon as I became a resident of the state of Tennessee. And I left my Falcons behind. Goodbye, good riddance. But that's a tough watch, bro. Mm-hmm. That's a tough watch.
Yeah. Well, sometimes I pray for the folks who are double negative fans, like a Vanderbilt fan and a Titans fan at the same time. You gotta have some self-loathing to do that.
No question. So I have to go to the newscast.
Yeah.
Not because normally when Bell K's up there, I just ignore him. But Miss Sammy's up there telling me to go to a break.
She's being really nice.
She's very, very sweet about it. So here comes the news on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. And yes, 24 east and westbound still shut down about 94 miles southeast of Nashville. This is going to be between Monteagle and Pelham because of a multi-vehicle accident. No word on when they might reopen it. Full forecast coming up in 5 minutes. An explosion rocked a courthouse in Santa Maria, California today. 2 people suffered non-life-threatening injuries. A person of interest has been detained. Shane Mellon was at the courthouse for a trial when it happened.
We came outside and there was some like sweater or something sitting there smoldering and almost on fire, and someone screaming. And
Santa Barbara County Sheriff spokesperson Raquel Zick says they believe that explosion came from an intentionally set improvised explosive device. Right now in Nashville, a report says District Attorney General Glenn Funk's office secretly recorded attorneys, his own staff and visitors, their conversations, that is, without their knowledge. But Funk isn't going to face any criminal charges based on the response by State Attorney General Jonathan Skermetti, who says he doesn't think there's enough evidence to secure a conviction. The report by the Tennessee Comptroller today says its findings put into question the integrity of Funk's office and whether the public is confident he can carry out his responsibilities. Funk's office responded by saying they never violated any laws and this matter is at an end, says this office will continue our mission to support victims, hold offenders accountable, and keep Nashville safe. President Trump campaigning in North Carolina, promising to deport millions of illegal immigrants if elected.
One particular mayor is saying, we're looking for translators because the people speak no English. So they're looking, you shouldn't be looking for translators. You should be looking for people to take them out of our country and bring them back from where they came because your town and city is being destroyed.
Meanwhile, former President Trump, current President Biden went on The View and he said Trump does not believe in democracy. As the latest news, weather's next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Tennessee Men's Clinic wants to see you, gentlemen. If you are wondering why you're feeling low energy, low motivation, low drive, whether it's happening, when you go to the gym, maybe it's happening when you do yard work, maybe it's happening in the bedroom, whatever the reason, if you've noticed this, it's time to do something about it. And I would encourage you to call the Tennessee Men's Clinic. They can help you, gentlemen. Their urologist will get you in there. They'll give you a full examination. They'll take a little blood work, and they'll find out what's going on inside of your body. Maybe it's as simple as T levels. And if that's the case, there are multiple options to help you get those T levels back to where they should be, to help you perform better, whether it's in the gym, in the bedroom, wherever. You need that level of intimacy in your life, and you can get it back again with Tennessee Men's Clinic. There's no shame in this game, men. Let's get this handled. Let's make it happen with the Tennessee Men's Clinic. Go to TennesseeMen'sClinic.com or give them a call and schedule that appointment today. 2 locations. There's one in Franklin. The other's in Midtown. Been there since 2014. Tennessee Men's Clinic at 615-208-9090. 208-9090. 615-737-9986. That is a telephone number that I want you to think about, because I'm about to give away a couple of wonderful tickets. Actually, I'm giving away 2 sets of 2, and Sammy's going to be the one to answer your telephone calls, and we'll just go ahead and I tell you what. Here's what we do. If you can, I'm second guessing myself now.
Let's not over complicated.
You don't want to overcomplicate it?
Nah.
Okay, well then the 8th and 9th callers.
Okay.
How about that? 8th and 9th callers. 2 tickets to the C10 Nationals. If you don't know what the C10 Nationals are, you need to, this is the largest Chevy and GMC truck event in the United States of America. I have a GMC truck, and I will be there. It is coming to Nashville Super Speedway this coming Friday and Saturday, October 4th and 5th, packed with vendors and activities. There'll be an autocross, swap meet, vendor midway, drag racing, track cruise, and much more. If you want to register your truck, you need to go to C10 Nationals and do that online. Or spectator tickets are just $25 a day. Parking is free. More info at c10nationals.com. That's c10nationals.com. But here's the great thing. You don't have to buy a ticket, because right now, you can win by calling up 615-737-9986, 615-737-90. I think I'm competing with Sammy, and I'm hitting the block, and then she's hitting not block, and I'm hitting block. But caller 8, caller 10, you win the tickets to the C10 Nationals. Not this weekend, but next weekend at Nashville Super Speedway. I asked you a question just a moment ago, because Joe Biden was on The View today. I don't know if you caught any of this. It was...
Do I strike you as somebody who watches The View?
I don't know.
Maybe.
Maybe.
All right. How'd it go?
It did not go well for him. It went as well as you might expect. I think it's much worse for the people of The View than actually Joe Biden.
I did see this clip. I didn't know it was The View.
Yeah, he was on The View, and he was asked why he dropped out of the race. And this is what he said.
We're having so much success in getting things done that people thought we couldn't get done. Right. I found myself having used more time than I would have ordinarily to, pass that torch. But working with Kamala, she is bright, she is tough, she's honorable, and the thing I like about her, and one thing we share in common, is that we have an optimistic view of the future.
So he was asked why he dropped out of the race, and his answer was, we were having so much success that I was spending so much time winning that I just couldn't handle any more winning.
He hadn't gotten tired of it, so he kept going.
And he decided no more 4 years. He was then asked specifically about whether or not he felt like his hand was forced. And here's what he had to say.
Did you feel that your hand was forced, and what is your relationship with Speaker Pelosi now?
Our relationship is fine. Look, I never fully believed the assertions that somehow there was this overwhelming reluctance of my running again. I didn't sense that. And although the polling, as I said, Biden's polling was different, The fact of the matter is, my polling was about, we're always within range of beating this guy.
Yeah.
And, what I did was, I think there were, it makes sense. There are some folks who would like to see me step aside so they have a chance to move on. I get that. That's just human nature. But
who do you think he's talking about there?
That wanted him to step aside? Pelosi?
He said that there are some folks that wanted me to step aside so they have a chance to move on.
All of Democratic leadership? I mean,
wasn't the reason that I stepped down. I stepped down because I started thinking about it. You know, it's hard to think of, I know you're only 30, but it's hard to think of, it's hard for me to even say how old I am.
Cameron, this is the hardest question I've ever asked you on this radio show.
Mm-hmm.
What did he just say?
It's hard to think about how old he is.
I mean, what was his answer to the question?
It wasn't.
Do you feel like you were forced out?
The answer is yes. And he said,
words, happy, laugh, pause.
Now, look, you don't understand.
Come on, guy. Oh, let's go. Come on.
It's fair.
With the thing and the stuff.
Right.
And we were doing so good.
Well, in that same interview, he had a quote where he basically said, Harris could do everything I could do, so I felt comfortable with her as vice president. Just, wow, man. The Democrats are really going to wish this guy would just vanish.
I got you. Here's Joe Biden.
And as vice president, there wasn't a single thing that I did that she couldn't do. Mm-hmm. And so I was able to delegate
P standing up.
Her responsibility on everything from foreign policy to domestic policy.
So there was nothing that...
No daylight between them.
That's right. Well, Kamala Harris is telling us that it's time to turn the page.
Right.
So I understand politics is the ultimate blood sport. Mm-hmm. It infuriates me, regardless of whether you're an R or a D, conservative, liberal. What annoys me more than anything in my working life are politicians that treat the general population like they're dumb.
Yes.
Because I understand that there are many dumb people out there, but the majority of the population were not dumb. And we can't get a straight answer, and we will not get a straight answer as to why he dropped out. And we all know the answer, and I think the American people, and more importantly, Cameron, the Democrats that voted for this guy, the Democrats that were told that they could have no other options. They weren't allowed to vote for Robert F. Kennedy Jr. on their ticket. Those Democrats deserve an answer. And what's maddening is, A, the media won't ask or won't insist that they get an answer to it because they haven't answered the question yet. Joe Biden says it's not because of my mental acuity. It's not because we weren't doing great. He tells us all the things it wasn't, but they don't tell us what it was.
Well, and he was like, well, my polling was, within range. I mean, it started to not be within range.
It was not. And look, say what you will about, I don't believe the polls with Kamala. The reason I asked you the question. I don't believe that Trump has lost the amount of ground that some of the polls indicate that he's lost. And I don't believe that she's gained the amount of popularity or favorability. But she's doing a hell of a lot better than he was.
Oh, yeah.
There's no question about that. That's the fear amongst conservatives and Republicans, that they are able to pull the wool over the eyes. I almost used a different phrase than I didn't want to. Pull the wool over the eyes of enough of the American people that she could manage to get to the presidency.
We can't stand 4 more years of this. Minnesota Governor Tim Walz.
That's what he said.
Dude, what is going on?
Hey, can I interrupt?
You may.
I want to play you a piece of audio. You've actually already heard it, but I think this is germane to the discussion.
The Germans got nothing to do with it.
When you lose him, you're losing.
Yeah.
And that was this week, right? That was Bill Maher this week.
Yeah, I believe it was last week, actually.
I'm telling you, she's a placeholder candidate that was satisfactory to the Democratic elite because Biden was not going to win. I mean, I think I can say that fairly obviously. I mean, it was going so poorly. They saw
Yeah, if there was any hope that Joe Biden could pull out a victory, that hope was gone after the June 27th.
Yeah, absolutely. And so that's over. And they're like, okay, what can we turn to as a alternative for that guy?
We have to do the thing that we have not wanted to do all of this time.
Right.
We knew that Joe would be difficult to manage, but even worse would be to try to repair the likability, the favorability, and some of the issue-oriented problems that Kamala Harris presents, and that's what they're trying to do.
And they have done it extremely well by just ignoring reality.
Well, when you have a mainstream media that will not press them on any front, I mean, how well would Donald Trump be doing if the mainstream media treated Donald Trump like they treat Kamala Harris? Honestly.
Much better. I mean,
if they didn't question him, if they didn't constantly call him a liar for having an opinion on issues, if they focused on the positives that he was trying to accomplish, if they did not point out the flip-flops that he might have had between 2016 and today, if they treated him with kid gloves, I mean, imagine his favorability.
Well, also the issue is for him is that he doesn't hide. He never has. He's never been a basement guy. And so he is very much like, I am what I am. What do you have to lose? Vote for me. Like, that's his MO. He's all over the place. He's in your face. That's his style. This, as we've discussed, is hope and change it's actually joy hides in the basement. And that's what they've got to work with. And they're now going to what I call soft media. These aren't reporters. These are like The View people and other talk shows where they can just fawn over them.
Hey, wait a minute, guys. She's doing a big-time one-on-one sit-down tonight with Stephanie Rule of MSNBC, a woman that has declared that she is voting for and supporting Kamala Harris.
Yeah.
So this will be as hard-hitting of an interview as Oprah's. And those, by the way, I just named in the last 8 seconds the 2 sit-down interviews that Kamala Harris has done on her own since announcing that she was the president.
So you want to get, let's just say hypothetically, let's say you wanted to get Harris elected. Would you do anything different than what they're doing right now?
If I wanted to get
Put your lizard strategic brain on, it says, okay, now you're on the other side. You got to win this election. Would you do anything differently than what they're doing right now?
It's difficult for me to answer that question because it disgusts me to consider that I would shed my values, my core beliefs in the system of government that we have in order to do that.
Yeah.
But I would have hoped that I would have made, if I had the ability, that decision prior to setting up the Democrat nomination process the way that it was. But to answer your question, no. If I have I could get anybody elected if I have the media in this fashion on my side in this way.
Yeah, that's fair.
Because they have decided that one guy's Hitler and they don't really care if people try to kill him. I don't think the mainstream media, I mean that. I don't think many in the mainstream media care if Donald Trump gets his head blown off.
I think that's uncomfortable, but true. And in in
that dynamic, then you're right, as dastardly and awful as that is. But I'm not going to elevate that and suggest that that's a good thing that they're doing. It's not a good thing that they're doing. On any planet, it's not a good thing. And if that's where our politics have gone, I'll stop talking about politics and talk football or something else.
Dude, we've had 2 assassination attempts. The first one's dead. The first shooter's dead. The second one clearly insane. And the media, kids learn about the assassination of Abraham Lincoln in school so much after the fact. The fact that we have had 2 attempts and it's sort of like, oh, that's not big news.
And I'm not mad at you. I'm mad at the setup because, you're not wrong. They have to hide her.
Yeah.
But they have to have and I'm not even mad at the Democrats. I'm mad at the media more than anything. The Democrats are the sharks that I understand and know, and I know that they're going to do sharky things. I don't know why I continue to expect more out of the media, but I guess I do.
Yeah, I wouldn't. Disgusting. I don't know why you would, because it is a narrative. They run the narrative, and that's the play.
Hey, Bell says we got to get a break. We got to get to Brian Wilson. Real quick, bold prediction. Come on, give it to me. Saturday night, what's happening? How much are the Dogs winning by?
31-23.
Dogs! All right,
Alabama.
31-23?
Alabama.
It's going to be tight. Hey, if all of y'all root for the Dogs and they win, I'll make Cameron, I don't know, do weird things. I don't know what. I'll figure something out.
I'll listen to Hugh Freeze.
That's true. We'll blame the quarterback. It's 52 after the hour on Super Talk.